So I'm just going to talk really quickly about a little piece of the projects I've been doing. Basically, in the pre-digital days, I kept a diary and I had like a lot of pictures like that.
Oh, you just brought another screen forward or something. Where did
do control left or right? You're probably in a different space.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah, cool.
All right, I'll touch just what you want. Yeah, there we go. Those are pictures of diary.
Do you want to use this?
Not
I think you're not the. Yeah. You're not. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay.
You can see the mirror.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to use this instead?
No, I'm good.
Nice handwriting.
Yeah, so
I use those same notebooks.
yeah, those were my classic all through the 90s. And so this was, I mean, in a way, my first kind of crude introduction to quantified self was noticing patterns in myself through diary keeping. And a few years ago, I went through and, scanned, basically took pictures of all my pages going back. And then, of course, I wanted to do digital things with them. It's like there's a sample, and then sometimes I get really creative, and there's like no way that a computer is going to be able to do OCR on some of that. And so I would tell you about Mechanical Turk. How many of you know about Mechanical Turk? Probably all of you. Okay, so let's skim over this then.
No, but a lot of people didn't know about Mechanical Turk.
Some-
How many don't know about Mechanical Turk? Okay?
No.
Okay.
Just touch on it.
So Mechanical Turk it's an actual product you can use. You just do a Google search for Mechanical Turk. I think it's mturk.com. There we go. And it's based on the story of there's this chess-playing robot that went around in the 17th century or something, and everyone thought it was this like super smart robot, but it turned out there was a Turkish chess master midget hidden inside. And what it is a service that it looks like any kind of online service that you would like pay for analysis to be done, but behind the scenes are actually people all around the world who do the work for you. And so,
Turkish maybe.
possibly Turkish. And so it's actually, it's not quite as easy as it should be. If you know how to make like a web page and you can do some basic HTML, you can make a job on Mechanical Turk. So this is the one I made for my task. The key number being, I'm bidding 14 cents per page in this particular task. And you have to kind of experiment to see. It was really funny is I set up my job, and right away, like say half of it got done in the first like 2 hours, which was astounding. And they're very efficient at finding like the blank pages and the pages that have 2 words on them, and so they get paid. And then over the next few hours, probably I got to like 80% done, and then there were a few pages left that had like lots of like where I wrote really small, and I was kind of worried.
Raise the price.
I was what?
You have to raise the price for those pages.
Well, that's the thing. Mechanical Turk doesn't let you have variable price. But what was surprising was then basically overnight they all got done, and it's like India and Asia went online, and so actually timing can be important on your price setting. And like this is an example of the job as it appeared to the workers. So like, there was a letter from my dad's archive of all these letters that he had scanned from the family, and it just you have to give very clear instructions. They don't really intuit very well, and but it works. And you get back a spreadsheet.
Am I right in thinking that 2 people do every page or something, so you can...
If you want to, you can say how many people you want to do each task, and then it's up to you to compare.
Right.
If you're going on the cheap, you can just trust, and there are cheaters who will like copy and paste a blog article and call it good, and you have to watch for that. And so this is an example of like a spreadsheet that you use to feed in. So in my case, I just gave a big list of URLs of the images that have to be out on the web someplace. And then if you've done like a mail merge, like back in the old days, it's a lot like mail merge, where you write kind of a template and you say like, put the name of the image here, and then the worker will see one of these images plugged in as in that space. they do their job, and you get back another spreadsheet with the name of that image, and then every little like text field that I put in the job now gets filled in with their answer. And the template that I had a field for random comments, and so it's funny, you get the sense there's actual people in there, because you'll get like, this was fun to read, or very romantic. This is all from 10 years ago, Turk to Asia, probably too much. And I actually got an email from on a recent job from a woman saying how much she was enjoying reading about my dad's life in Europe in the 50s. So you also have to be sensitive about putting really private things.
Yeah.
So it's useful, but remember there is a human on the other side.
So is there a program mechanical blackmail?
I've never heard of anyone actually using it for that.
Instead, Mechanical Turk is used by, I believe, Yelp to actually vet their the comments and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's used behind the scenes on a lot of things. And if you're not familiar with Mechanical Turk, a great way to play with it is you can enter as a worker. You'll probably make like max $6 an hour, but you can kind of get a feel for the types of tasks, and you'll see a lot of, listen to this audio, transcribe what you hear, type in this text, count how many fruits are in this photo, where is the edge of the street in this photo, and you get a sense for what type of jobs this is being used for.
There's actually a lot of controversy about it, about wages, minimum
Yes.
wage. So
Exactly, and it tells you as the employer what your effective hourly rate is that you're paying at the
And what
end.
was yours?
I've done lots of different jobs, but it's tended to be like $3 or $4 an hour. Yeah.
yeah, which people are happy to get.
But to my conscience, I will say I also get lots of comments that they really enjoyed doing the work. So I think I'm more excited than counting fruit, but who knows?
Have you seen The Help?
The Help?
The movie The Help?
No.
No.
Okay.
They quite enjoyed it too.
The next part is definitely going to be touched on by other speakers. So the part 2 of this is what do you do with it once you've got it analyzed, or once you've got it as digital. Okay, now it's great. You can do stuff with it. What do you do? The easiest kind of thing is like Wordle.net. You can make a tag cloud, which you can get some interesting things already. So this is my backpacking trip through Asia with my friend Jason, and this is apparently the words I was using.
Water.
Going back, I like something, night. And then you can contrast it with, this is my uncle, no, this is my dad, sorry, with his letters over the years of like handwritten formal letters. Wrote a lot about time and school. So kind of big things. And then I think, Gary, you might actually touch on this.
Well, yeah, this is what I was going to show you. But you show it. Do you show the stats? If you show the stats, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So this is
mine too. But
so a lot of my diary writing has shifted to doing it online with a service, 750words.com, and this is like me writing this morning and how fast I
what a
wrote.
great streak you had.
Yeah, keep going. And they do some sort of lightweight analysis of today. I was feeling mostly affectionate, concerned about leisure. But I don't really believe those too much. Things about time orientation in primary sense is actually more interesting. Am I writing about, in past tense? Am I talking about myself, or like all of these things? And then you can also do global. So this is me compared to the rest of the world, and it's like I write about death less than most people. Great insights like this you can get. And the way this does it is they use this technique called the regressive imagery dictionary, which you can't really see it. It's basically just a long list of words, and words are dumped into these little categories. And when you use a word, you get like 1 point towards that category. So it's a very kind of brute force, not a lot of subtlety to it. But given enough volume of data, you can get some things out of it. And I'll end with something that I heard a great talk from a guy who was an email researcher, which is everyone's biggest body of text. And he said to find the important parts of, like important points in your life, like in the life narrative, if to do a Gmail search for the word suddenly, because that is the word most correlated with important turning points in one's life. So as a little experiment for everyone, go do a search for
Great
suddenly.
experiment. I'm gonna do that tonight. So we just we have a few minutes for questions and let's take them. Yeah. Or discussion.
Is 750 words in the thing where they mine your data? Can you edit that at all? Can you put a word, if it thinks this word is sad, can I say, no, this word's actually not sad?
No, that's really a ancillary feature to this. Yeah.
And the failure, I think to me, the failure, I love the tool, by the way. It's like if you're a diary keeper, I just think it's great. But and I don't think the person who made it, we were talking about that takes the sentiment analysis that seriously in it anyway, but you really see the failure of using dictionary definitions of words to get meaning. It's not good.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out why it treats me as very negative. Like it's always like negative, and I was trying to figure that out, and I think it might be because like I say things like it was funny, not sad. And so now I've got sad in there, and I say like, we were all exhausted,
But you're looking on that side of life. So
yeah, maybe. But then again, I was thinking, well, Freud would say it's really the sad. When you say not sad, it's really the sad that counts in that sense, not the not. So maybe I don't know.
But Gary, it'd be interesting then if you were to do an analysis then of Dickens or Freud's writing or Darwin's writing, and to try to come up and see what they come up with. I don't know if anybody's done that with the same algorithms they're using.
No, it seems like it should
give you justification too.
Maybe.
He told me all my mood tracking data was about religion.
Yeah, because you're so religious.
I have the same thing, and I think just because I'll often like swear, like God damn it or something, and then Ernesto.
So I've been thinking lately about this kind of the compendium of work that someone writes over the course of their lifetime. It usually happens on all these different devices. Like, what do you think would happen if you were to take, not just your diary, but also your email and all these things? What could you learn from that? And how would you? It's something I've been thinking of lately.
Yeah.
Or is that something that'd be interesting to you? Because you're starting to scan your diaries, which is really interesting. This historical facts. Now you have your diary that you're now writing on 750 words. What if you could combine it with everything you did, everything you compose?
Yeah, there's sentiment is kind of the one thing, the elusive thing we're always after. Mood, using it as a proxy for tracking mood.
I guess I'm asking, what would you want? Because sentiment is now what's kind of what is available. It's like what is the feature that is not available yet, or that you haven't seen, or something that is available that you really want to use?
I'm not holding out hope for machines to do this, but kind of like learning, basically, how mature I am, like maturity levels. Like, I could definitely go back and read, especially high school, of course, and I'm like, you're a child, and where I kind of got, how I handled similar situations, starting new jobs, starting relationships, ending jobs, to sort of look for patterns in those type of things. That's what I would want, but I don't think we're anywhere close.
It kind of speaks to kind of what George was talking about, that there, if you looked at your diary from when you were, say, 15 to now, that without having some contextual information, the meanings are almost worthless. So you have to have the knowledge that you were 15 and this other thing was happening.
Right.
And even the basic context of prose, as in email used versus diary, yours, which is a little bit more written out. I think Gary's is probably even a little bit more prosaic because he writes articles for a living. And mine is very few verbs. It's very few verbs. It's mostly nouns and things like that. I'm trying to remember stuff, where I was, what I was doing, things like that. So my diary is a very different kind of diary. And so...
Which is another thing to learn, or I would be curious, is, everyone's, am I weird question. How do I compare to the rest of the people? Which, like, my 750 words, I guess I don't write about death as much as other people. Like, that's really odd. I would be curious to compare my diaries with the rest of, what was I writing about at 15 that other people were or weren't, and those sorts of questions.
But I think the failure is so obvious in what George was presenting, that words themselves don't have the meaning. So the dream would be to get the meaning of the words in what you're actually talking about. And your question is going to be, what am I talking about? What do I really care about that I'm not seeing that I'm not really recognizing? Because we often spend a lot of time in our life worrying about things that don't really matter to us as much. So if mining your own data can tell you what you really care about in a certain way. I've looked back at my own sketchbooks from high school, and they're mostly drawings, but it's so obvious what I was caring about at that point. And if that data could be mined for me real time, it might help me make decisions about the future before I have to look back 10 years later.
There's a tool that Buster has in the 750 words that really interesting in terms of catching the meaning.
Yeah.
That is hard to recuperate from the past using simple machine analysis tools anyway. He will allow you to see all those qualities that are defined there. He will allow you to define your own qualities in the text. So if you name the quality, if you put a word in, followed by a colon, followed by another word at the bottom, the first word as a category, and the second word as an attribute.
Yeah. Okay.
Or as a field and then so this suggests that maybe what you want to do is when you make the data, you include some structure in it that is sort of your best guess at what the meaning is that you may want to go back.
Create your own dictionary.
Right.
The thing that interrupts the flow of just producing what
Or maybe you do it right afterwards or something, no?
How do you categorize
This is the same thing with machine learning. You have to train the data. In order for a machine learning to work, you have to have a training data set that says this is the way the data, and you're talking about creating an annotated data set almost.
Right.
So you're having annotated meaning.
Well, one thing we definitely use is the timestamp, right? So we all have that's a piece of metadata that's super valuable and it's very intuitive. And I'm just wondering, I'm wondering if there are some, I keep goals. That's kind of interesting as a type of meaning to sort of plant in your data, to kind of see, have my goals changed. I don't know if it hooks in, well, let's take a look. Yeah.
I was just reading Blick's book on information, and it's a really good read, and it's about kind of where words come from and the uselessness of words and how things were spoken and they got written down and everything changed and my point of view went bad. So, and I've noticed when I respond to my emails and things, I only use 2 words. I use cool and awesome, and rather than use a negative, I don't reply to email. And this, a lot of people aren't happy with this response at work, but I find it gives me more time to make things and do actions rather than wasting it on words. So I'm a tiny bit negative about words, but Glick explains all this, I think, very well.
That's using your words as an action almost, in a way.
And I apologize for using words at this point.
Okay, that's great. Let's do the next one.